Hello guys and welcome to Ride VIP, the rideshare channel. My name is Serge and in today's video, I'm answering only one comment, and this is because this is some of the mentality that I've been seeing for the last 16 years of drivers that was in the expedite industry where I was in. Everybody was thinking the same thing as this guy right here. So Richard Gorson writes, just quit already. Go find a new job. Leave the real driving to taxi drivers, the guys that make $3 a mile. Have a nice day. Quit complaining. So um, we don't make $3 a mile in Uber. Okay, we do not make $3 in Uber. So I made like a nice little reply right here that you guys could screenshot and you could actually read yourself. But I'm just gonna explain it from just my head instead of reading. So here's the spiel. Let's just go to the IRS website, okay? This is the IRS website for 2022. And we're not going to go into all of this stuff, but here's the thing. Let's look at this right here. You see this 58 cents per mile? This is what IRS says we should be writing up for business use up to 2.5 cents the rate for 2021. So up 2.5 cents means this was actually much less last year. So it was like, I don't know, like 55 cents, let's just say, 55.5 cents, something like that. Actually, like 56 cents or something. Yeah, 56. Okay. And it's been kind of going up every single year, like the mileage that we get to write off. And it's because the IRS, even though they love their money, IRS knows that the cost of doing business right now for 2022 is 58 cents per mile driven for business use. And guess what? You might be thinking, oh, well, this is for semi-truck drivers. No, talk to your CPA. According to my dad, he's a truck driver, and according to a lot of my family members that are truck drivers, and I've been in the expedite industry for 14 years, truck drivers cannot write off 58 cents per mile driven because it actually costs them even more to do business. So, there's other things that are involved. The trucks are so much more money, and they're paying so much more for diesel, and they're like not that fuel efficient. They're like 5.5 miles per gallon, something like that. So, that being said, these miles are for basically kind of like taxi drivers, van drivers, van delivery drivers, car drivers. Like think about this. Okay, so let me just make a quick little example. Okay, so I own 10 Mercedes Sprinter vans. I used to have my own fleet company, and I own total of 33 cars. But anyways, that besides the point. The Mercedes Sprinter van from year 2004 through 2006, the fuel economy is 24 miles per gallon. In some cases, a lot better. But 24 is about the norm, okay? So then they started making 2007 vans and up, put a bigger engine in there, and now they became a 19 miles per gallon type of vehicle, okay? So slightly less. But in business, I use both. When I realized that the 2007 van that I bought in 2007 was only getting me 19 miles per gallon, couple years later down the road, I switched to the van that was saving me money by doing 24 miles per gallon. The reason that this is relevant is because today's day and age, I'm driving a BMW right now, and it takes premium fuel, and it only does 19 miles per gallon. So as you could see, this is very, very close to these Sprinter vans. So some cars do a lot better. Obviously, this is why I did kind of like a couple little examples. Like my Nissan Altima does 35 miles per gallon. Well, that would be a better car, ideal car to use for Lyft or Uber, and you must use the correct car. I do not have that option right now because that particular car is down due to the fact that it needs a new head gasket. But that's another story. So I'm sure you could actually read the rest of the stuff. We do not need to go into all that. I want to focus on the main thing. So I want to talk about the splits that Uber should be giving us versus what they're taking for themselves. As you could see here, when Uber initially launched, they were giving drivers 80% from the actual money that they were getting, and they were keeping only 20. Now that made a lot more sense, but this was a marketing type of tactic because they knew that they need to entice drivers to come in and start working and give all these bonuses and 80%, 80/20 to the drivers. So they were not making much money, but being that it's a marketing tactic, they were getting lots of drivers to come work for them. So, anyways, that all now kind of like went down. So what are we as drivers getting paid right now from Lyft? According to some of the stuff that I looked at, and I'm gonna look into it deeper, but just kind of like taking a glance from asking riders how much they're paying and kind of like comparing some notes, but I really should like write things down because it's very hard to compare. But according to uh, those calculations, I was like looking at it, and the percentage of the split was sometimes close to half, but usually at about 25 to 40%, as you could see that I've written over here. That's how much the driver is getting. So that is a lot less than 80. Now, normally, when I was an expert in the industry, I also hired contractors, okay, to work on my vans. So when a person comes in to work for me, I would tell them, okay, I'm going to give you the van, right? So here's the split. So I'm going to give you 60% and you take the cost on for the fuel and I'll take 40% for myself because it is my vehicle from the amount of money that he would be making. So why is that? So because the I would make 40 technically, and then 40 would be made by the driver, and the 20% would go towards the fuel expense. But I still carry on the burden of the insurance for the vehicle, all the maintenance, all the breakdowns, and of course the cost of that vehicle. So I need to make some kind of money, okay? But if you go work for a company that provides freight for me, like directly, a lot of times they would do kind of like a similar type of thing. They would say, well, since it's your own vehicle, we're going to offer you 70% and we're going to take 30. It is a bit steep, and some of them they want to give you even less. Like some of them, like, look, it's like my van, they still want to keep 40%, like, and they haven't even done nothing, like, from the actual money. So, and a lot of these companies, they're very tricky. Like, for instance, I want to make a quick little example. So, as I was working, I'm just gonna tell you guys this from the expedite industry standpoint. So, what would some of these companies do? So there was this one company that was called TNK Nationwide. They already went out of business. That's why I'm kind of bringing them up, and I don't want to really bring up others, even though others do something similar. So what they would do is they would open up two separate businesses. Okay, they would open up kind of like a brokerage side of the business where they're acting as a broker. And they're getting all the freight for themselves, and then they open up another company, which is basically loading all the vehicles with freight that they have. Any kind of trucks, which they had trucks, they had vans, they even had a plane, or maybe that was just like fake advertising. But anyways, they went out of business. But anyways, so what they would do is they would get a load under the brokerage type of account, and they probably got it from like another broker. But that being said, they don't want to pay any kind of splits according to that money. So they want to hide how much money they're truly making. So they're selling that freight to themselves, to their other account, so that they could take a split for themselves and then tell the driver, oh, we're only getting X amount. That they say that company is cheap. Can you take less? And at first, when I first started, like 2007, I did not know any different. But then I realized later on what they were doing because they would actually give this information by themselves. Because when I would talk to some of their employees, right? Different employees would tell me different things, and before you know it, I realized everybody's doing it. Sometimes they got 2 to 4 companies that was formed to work in accordance with each other. And some of the ways I was able to figure this thing out because every, like if you're trying to get employed by that other company, because it also shows up, you could see the address that's being used, and it's being their office is being used. And they do that a lot of times so they could do tricks like this for the drivers, and you're never gonna know where the money's coming from. Also, they're able to protect themselves if, let's say, like one company gets kicked out, like, because they done something, they'll still have the other companies as backup. So this is why they do it. But that being said, let's just kind of continue. So if the cost of doing business is, let's say, like 20% from the actual like load or whatever, like I'm talking about like the fuel itself, not the cost of doing business, I'm sorry, the fuel itself is 20%. And a lot of times it's higher than that because the fuel prices are fluctuating, so you have to kind of like adjust that accordingly. But at the time when I was working, the fuel prices were already kind of like crazy, so this is not going to be like much different. So also you have commercial insurances that are involved, and that's very, very, very expensive. So also the vehicle costs, like some of these vehicles are very, very, very expensive. So the other 40, so you try to think at least, okay, like 20% covers my fuel, okay? So hopefully that covers your fuel. But 40% covers your bills. So what kind of bills do you have? So you're gonna have a vehicle payment, you're gonna have a house payment, you're gonna have your commercial insurance, you're gonna have your cell phone, and then all the utilities and stuff, and then you still gotta eat, you know what I mean? And then on and on and on, you still gotta have some kind of fun. You're not just like some slave. And that split at 60/40 like barely kind of covers that lifestyle, like, and that's just from the split of the job, and we don't even know what that job is. But since Uber is hiding from us how much money they're charging the rider, it's getting harder for us to figure out like what is the actual split right now, because they are hiding that fact. Now, by them displaying the price, they're saying it's now like it is like now like more fair than ever, and they're trying to estimate everything correctly, and that we're getting like more money. And like when you look at what Uber is like saying, they'll basically claim like outrageous claims, like Uber is paying their drivers like $35 to $37 an hour. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, where are they pulling out these numbers from? So, that being said, we need to nicely talk to our passengers, and sometimes you get cool passengers that basically come into your vehicle, and they're happy to tell you what they're paying. And when they do, you could just write that down, compare notes. But one of the things that I'm forgetting to do is write things down. Like for instance, because I'm driving, there's only so much that you could do. But you can take a screenshot of what Uber is paying you. When you take a screenshot and then you ask the person how much money that they're paying, just try to remember that, and then write it down before the next trip on a piece of paper or like in your notes. So I'm gonna start putting this in my notes, how much the riders are paid, so that we could actually figure out like what are we getting paid now, like what is the current split, because we should be getting anywhere from $1.20 per mile to I'm really sorry about that. I got a baby here. Доченька, молочка дать? Сейчас дам. Сейчас дам. Yeah, I gotta take care of my baby. She's 2 years old. She wants some milk. And I'm trying to basically work. I gotta do some eBay shipping, and I gotta do some other stuff. So I'm trying to record this video for you guys so that we could have a conversation going, because it's so funny to me, just so funny when people tell me, oh, just quit, oh, stop complaining. Like, are you kidding me? We need to know the cost of doing business. When you know the cost of doing business, then you know how much you should be making. And if we're not making that amount, we're going to go out of business. So yes, we should complain. Yes, we should come together, and there's nothing wrong with complaining. It's like, it's like, get a different job. Look at this. Looks like it disappeared. Look, just quit already. Go find a new job. Well, first of all, it is not a job. It is not a job. This is a business. A job is when you go to work and you arrive at your job and they tell you you're making $18 an hour or whatever, because that's what they're paying warehouse workers right now, just starting out, like no special skills required. You just work your ass off, basically. That's the only skill they want. So you come to work, $18 an hour. They'll tell you, okay, do this, do this, do that. But it's not costing you any money to do that business. You just show up. That's it. The cost is showing up. You get a trophy for showing up. This is the new age. But we as drivers, we have all these different expenses. We have business expenses, and they will come bite you at the end of the year, or whenever you face a breakdown, or whatever. So it's pretty expensive. So moving on, I want to basically go ahead and actually come to the conclusion of this, and the conclusion is we should be getting paid anywhere from $1.20 to at least $2 per mile. Now, I know what you're saying. Should be more like around like $2 a mile, and I'm just trying to basically, like put this type of limit here. We should be looking for at least like $1.20 to $2 per mile. So, in the next video, I'm going to take some screenshots, and we're gonna go through like some of the jobs that they are paying us, like how much we're getting paid, right? So we can figure out the per mile type of rate, because they're showing us like, okay, here's how much you're getting per mile. Here's what we're paying you. So we need to kind of like count that in. Normally I look at the time, okay, but it's important to look at the mileage, and it's important to write down your mileage. Before I leave, since we're on this topic, I want to go ahead and show you guys this. This is kind of like a little example. So let's scroll like all the way to the top. So this is kind of something that I'm using. There's miles apps and stuff like that, but I write things down because like in the notes, because it works kind of like just as good. Because technically, I use this car only for business. I have other cars available. So when you're doing taxes, they're gonna ask you, what was the starting miles of the vehicle? What is the finishing miles? How much personal miles? That type of thing. Do you have other vehicles available for use of business? So over here, I write down, you see, the beginning miles, 206,405. So this was 9/10/22. You see, and over here we have 11/25/22. I would have 22,300, 22. What the heck am I saying? 223,000 miles, 619. But I bought the car with 193,000 miles. And as you could see, I started keeping mileage kind of late. According to here, I was writing them down on a piece of paper. But then I need to now transfer to digital form, because over here I could add things like, for instance, I'm just going to show you like the the fields. So I put like start of the day. I put like the date, of course, when I worked, the start and end of the day. I sometimes I put the mileage, what it actually took. Like right here, I have like 276 miles, and then as I fuel up, I write down how much fuel it actually cost me. And then I'm putting kind of like how much money I got paid. Like over here, like 49.47 from Uber, $5 tip, Lyft pay 97. As you can see, I did not make that much money, but yet, look, I drove 276 miles. This is the type of stuff that I'm saying, like, it's worth kind of like complaining about, because that is not enough money. That is not enough money. Like, shoot, like this looks to me like wow, like we're getting really, really ripped off. Um, uh, yeah, that's a lot of mileage. Like I should have been getting at least, if this was like 276. If I was getting like dollar a mile, I would have got like 276 dollars. But anyways, it doesn't matter. So every time when I notice there's some kind of change, I do some adjustment. Then, like over here, as you could see, I did 346 miles, and then again, like I write down how much money I made from Uber, and then some other stuff. I guess I worked again from Uber, different incomes, and then Lyft. So then I made like $355 for 346 miles. You see how that's like a lot closer to a dollar? It's a lot better than here on top. And that's because this is how flip-floppity this stuff is a lot of times. But over here, I could definitely track how much miles I drive and like how much money I'm making. But I don't write down miles all the time because it's really unnecessary. Because I could just do the total miles at the end of the year, like by just deducting from the current miles to the one I started. Then I could get the actual mileage and the actual income and everything I'll get from like Uber itself. But they're gonna also provide you with the miles driven, so I know. But the problem is they only give you mileage that you actually drove somebody around. That's the type of mileage that they give you, not on your way to the pickup and that kind of thing. So they don't show you none of that stuff. So over here I have 234 miles driven, and as you could see, I made Lyft 107 and Uber 44. So basically under $160 I made. So basically like 151. I believe that's what it is, $151 for 234 miles. You see how like that is like not that consistent. Let's see if I find another one with the mileage that I write down, because these numbers are like all over the place. So over here I drove again like 256 miles, but I only made like 125. Should I complain? Of course I should complain, because that should be 256. So then I would basically work, and then, I wasted $38 on fuel, only made 125. So then over here I did 205 miles. Fuel cost me 27.95, and then Uber I just made $92. So that's not good. So sometimes I don't make that good of money, and I adjust it, and I use a different strategy, because sometimes you don't know what it's gonna be. So like over here, I was taking everything that they throw at me. So some days are good, some days are bad. Some days are good, some days are bad. I'm thinking like, why is this not being consistent? And this is the reason, because every time they choose to pay you a different amount. Like this is like no set amount. So it's kind of crazy. But anyways, guys, I don't wanna waste your time.